Hi guys and welcome to my review for the Aria Ear Silva rather, and the Aria Ear Azuri. What is Aria Ear and what are these two IEMs? Well, Aria Ear or Aria Ear is a company that has strong connections with TXN Audio. They are a company out of Vietnam, known for being very much a boutique high-end type of product. And the Aria Ear, let's say, subsidiary of TXN Audio, is kind of a more accessible product line of theirs. The Aria, well, I'm just going to call them by their name, the Silva and the Azuri, are part of their single dynamic offerings. And there's also some hybrids, the Spark, the Pulse, and the Marina, although there's still no price for those. But these two, there's prices already for them. The Silva is priced at $160 and the Azuri at $135. The biggest difference between the two is well, and the only difference really is different driver choices. This uses a wooden diaphragm, and this uses a magnesium, a lithium magnesium type of diaphragm. Lithium magnesium, we've seen it being used before by some of the brands. Moondrop uses them. Ibaso also uses that sort of diaphragm. As for the wooden type of diaphragm, well, JVC comes to mind first of all as the one that kind of was the initial user of that type of diaphragm material. But recently, Twistura, in the case of the wood note, also uses the same sort of diaphragm. Anyway, you will see that I've got those two models, which are the ones that are obviously the star of the shows. But I've also got a few others here that I've brought out and which served as the comparison for these two. What are they? Well, the Twistura, the wood note, especially because it's also a wooden diaphragm. The Hydis MK12 Touris, the one dot audio Helios, the Plunge Audio Singularity Single, and the Panon the Panon Unique. My apologies, the Panon Unique. Why these? Well, and I could have put out a few others, but I felt that these were the ones that kind of had a sound style which approximated themselves the most to the sound philosophy or the sound style that the Silva and the Azuri have gone for. They haven't gone for the common or for the more usual safe approach of just doing a Harman tune. They've designed and then they've tried to do their own type of let's say sound. And the idea, and I feel that what they've tried to do in both of them is provide a full-bodied warm sound that has got still enough details up top, and that the different diaphragm materials will then give their own particular timbre and tonality and characteristic to that same tuning style that they took on both of these IEMs. In terms of accessories and so on, I mean, they are okay. I mean, it's not overwhelming in terms of the accessories. Brings a nice puck style case with the Aria Ear logo on there. They bring also some nice tips. I'm actually using the stock tips on the Silva. I'm not using it on the Azuri. I felt the Azuri actually worked slightly better with the KB07s. But in terms of again cable, a nice cable, no exchangeable terminations or anything of the sort. Arguable if they could have given a better cable. I mean, this is $160 rather, at $135. There is margin for a better cable, but I think where they've spent money is obviously on the IM itself. I mean, it is a beautiful resin shell, 3D printed. Really, really, really beautiful. The faceplate, I think, speaks for itself. My video, my pictures won't do it justice. It is absolutely gorgeous, be it the Silva or be it the Azuri. Focus this a little bit better. There you go. Either one has got these just stunning, 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 stunning. I'd like them to focus a little bit better, would be nice, but there we go, just stunning. So in terms of their physical aspects, either one of them is phenomenal. I mean, kudos to them. They might be a boutique brand, they might be a small brand, but they know what they're doing, and the build quality is a testament to that. Now, as I said, they both use different diaphragm materials. The Silva uses a birchwood diaphragm, which, according to them, has been custom made to a high degree of spec by Aria Ear. They went through a number of different versions of that driver until they found the driver that combined what they wanted. They wanted an organic, rich driver that could, give a very immersive listening experience. And it takes time. If you've ever tried to do anything of the sort, it takes time. Now, the special thing that both the Silva and the Azuri have is they use what Aria Ear calls a ribbon waveguide system. And what that basically is doing, it absorbs any unwanted resonances, balances any issues with the back pressure created by the driver, and all of that to make the sound of the Silva or the Aria, or the Azuri, my apologies, be highly holographic, clean, with accurate soundstage, accurate imaging, but always in either one of them be very musical. And that's one thing that straight away, and I mean, coming from these other IEMs, which obviously I've reviewed them and you guys know what I feel about them, that's straight away one thing that I was drawn into. I will be honest, I did overall prefer ever so slightly the Silva to the Azuri, but I mean, it's just a personal preference thing. Okay, so that ribbon waveguide system, which is basically you could say a more polished up type of helmets resonator, and something that has been used before, basically takes care of two frequency points, which is 4.8 and 6 kilohertz. And with this waveguide system and helmet resonating system that they've created inside of the IM, they make sure that those two points are suppressed and don't create any unnecessary peaks, and don't create any unnecessary resonances that are going to mask the sound, that are going to make the sound fatiguing, have unwanted energy or unwanted emphasis, and try and create a sound which is overall very very natural, very crisp, very airy, without having any of the difficulties that when you start wanting to push one aspect versus the other can occur. I mean, having a single DD in itself, trying to do the whole full spectrum, is already a monumental task. So the usage of these tuning systems is, I wouldn't say imperative, it isn't, but it is sometimes a necessity to do away with certain obstacles that are encountered. And when things are properly done, which is what has happened here in the case of the Silva and the Azuri, then the end result is really good. What's the point of just throwing in some helmets, resonators, or whatever, waveguide systems, or whatever you do, and then they don't really do anything? So I think with that respect, they've really hit the nail on the head. They've chosen and designed an excellent driver. They've used smart resonating controlling systems to do away with any peaks that could occur, and all of that to create this very pure, very musically correct type of sound. And it doesn't take much. Like I said, you put them in your ears and straight away you can feel that you're not listening to your $15 or $20 IEM of a single dynamic format. You can feel straight away that you're listening to a product which is very high quality, and spoiler alert, far beyond what the price would even make you believe. Okay. Some of the IMs that I have here, case of the ODA, case of the Plunge, case of the Penon, for example, are well into the $200 price point. And if these IMs had been at that price point, it wouldn't have been offensive, to be honest with you. However, I think that Aria Ear was smart in the sense that why push the price unnecessarily high up when they can offer a product with very much the same level of performance as some of the others that are here, at a much more competitive price, and therefore draw in attention. I mean, ultimately that's the reality. But anyway, I'll get to the comparisons a little bit later. As I was saying, the Azuri uses that birchwood type of diaphragm, while the Silva, sorry, and while the Azuri is using that lithium magnesium alloy driver, being you know, a material which has a different stiffness rating, a different damping rating. Obviously, then this will mean that the whole sound that is then created is going to be not radically different, but for example, those points of resonance that had to be attenuated have changed slightly. They are now 5 kilohertz and 6.2 kilohertz. So that again, that waveguide helmets resonator combination of tuning that they've used internally has been adjusted accordingly to this different driver. And you know, it's interesting because when I show you the graphs in a minute, you'll see what I mean. They graph almost identical. It wouldn't be offensive to even think that one is left and right, to be honest with you. And then when you listen to them, be it with the same tips, and I tried both the other way around, the KBs on there and these ones on here, be it with the same tips or different tips, you notice straight away that the sound is different. There's a different timbre, different tonality, and this goes along with what I've said plenty of times. You know, different driver materials are going to yield a different sound. Period. And shells will also affect. If you have a wooden shell, if you have a metal shell like here and a wood diaphragm, the wood note has got a different sound to this, irrespective of the fact that they are actually tuned differently. But the fact that it's using a metal shell and they've used a resin shell, yeah, that in itself already introduces different resonances. The ODA, the Helios, and the MK12, like, they have a lot of similarities in their sound, but again, resin shell, metal shell, they sound totally different. And this is a perfect example of that, of how different driver materials will yield different sounds. Okay, I think I basically covered the main aspects of both the Silva and the Azuri, which is they are using really well designed drivers, especially this wooden driver. Yeah, I know it was subjected to a lot of work on their part, but over and above that, and equally more important, and equally as important, if not even more important, is that the helmet's resonator waveguide system that they used internally is very, very good and very well implemented. I mean, I've seen and I've heard some IMs which have used alternative systems to help control whatever the issues might occur. And to be honest, this is probably one of the best implementations I've seen of that. But anyway, let's jump into the sound. Okay, I'll start with the Azuri actually. Like I said, cleanliness and musicality is the first thing that comes to mind. You listen to it and yes, you feel straight away that it's got a big bass. It's a nice impactful bass. It won't be maybe perhaps the most audiophile correct bass, especially if you are one that is adverse to bass quantity. Here we have a lot of bass without a doubt, but it's of high quality. And so the fact that it's high quality, it's well tuned, and it's then equally matched with the mids, upper mids and treble that give it extra energy, extra cleanliness, I can only score the bass on the Azuri an easy 9 out of 10. And the only reason why I don't score it a 10 out of 10 is because then it's maybe not as audiophile correct as some would like. But for me, for my personal taste, it's a 10 out of 10. Bass is phenomenal. It's impactful, it's clean, it's dynamic, it resolves well, handles power, no issues. Going into the mids, there's a little bit of a bleed into the mids, but again, nothing offensive because the mids are so energetic. I mean, we're talking about the mids having a pinna gain of roughly 13 dBs, which under normal circumstances or under other circumstances, you would say, oh my God, this is going to try and kill me. And it's going to... No, the fact that you have that bass coming from behind, the overall impression that you have when you hear the IEM is that you don't have as much bass or as you would think, and you don't have as much mids and treble as you would think, because they kind of are canceling each other out. That extra energy that we get from the mids is what needs to be there to make that bass sound as dynamic and as clean and as impactful as it is. But at the same time, that extra bass quantity that has been tuned into the IM is also what is needed to make sure that those mids and upper mids and treble don't get out of hand and don't become aggressive or offensive. Okay, so you could almost call it like a V-shaped tuning by looking at the graph, but when you actually listen to it, I didn't think of it as that way. I would think of it as a say an energetic kind of neutral presentation. That's what I would say. All right, with an emphasis on the bass and with a slight emphasis as well then on the upper mids and treble. Bass is great, mids are phenomenal, female male vocals, nothing to be said there. Treble in the right amount of quantity, not offensive, not aggressive, nothing of the sort. In terms of its technicality, soundstage, imaging, spot on. Detailed retrieval, very good. Timbre and tonality, I think, again, to my liking perfectly. Maybe just a little bit overly thick here and there, but overall very, very, very satisfying, very gratifying. I mean, it's a really, really nicely tuned IM. There's you know, at $135, obviously, you've got tons of other options. I mean, I've just reviewed recently a whole bunch of them. One that comes to mind is a T6, for example, and it's a phenomenal IM, phenomenal. Okay, straight away, the fact that it's a 1+1 is not fair to compare, but there's a lot of IEMs out there. One thing I can say, I mean, some options from Tanstrom as well, a whole bunch of them. The Fission, we have the Nora, the actual the MK12 costs close to that, 150. So there's a lot of options or a lot of alternatives at this price point. The would not basically the same thing as well. But having said all of that, what I can say is the Azuri holds its own, definitely holds its own. It trades blows with all of them, and you know, no issues there. Now, the Silva, and this is the one that ultimately I was more interested in, and more why, and because of the diaphragm. As I said earlier, JVC has been the precursor of using wooden diaphragms. I had listened to a couple of JVC models a few years ago, so I'm not going to be able to give a full let's say more correct interpretation of what I heard, because obviously I don't have them with me and I don't want to be talking about something just off by heart. You know, that's why I have all of these IMs. You guys know that I've got a collection of, I don't know, maybe 800 IMs, and you know, bar maybe one or two other reviewers, I think no one else is capable of doing comparisons the way I do. And it's just, it's not because I wanted it to be this way, but it just happened. So when I talk about an IM and I say that it sounds like this or like that or similar to, 9.9 times out of 10 I have that other IM here. But anyway, going back to what I was saying, the JVC, the wood diaphragm drivers that or design that they have used, had a peculiar sound, which was interesting, but I don't know, maybe fruit of the time in which it was designed, it wasn't exactly the most balanced of sounds. The wood note, which came out about a year ago from Twistura, phenomenal IM. This is an incredible IM. I don't think it's gotten any way near the deserved attention that it deserves, bar the redundancy of what I'm saying. It is well built, well accessorized, exchangeable tuning nozzles. It sounds incredible, okay. The Silva, besides the wood note, is now, for me, in my opinion, the only other viable option if you want a different diaphragm material, such as wood. The sound of the Silva is incredible. It's basically, like I said, the sound of the Azuri, detailed, clean, dynamic, nice engaging bass, but it's got that tonality which comes from the fact that they are using that wooden diaphragm. Just makes the Silva an absolute pleasure to listen to. I've been listening to both the Azuri and the Silva for a long time now. I've maybe got them for close to a month, and I've listened to them on and off and so on and so forth. And I can tell you that I love the Azuri. Sounds incredible. I could have brought out the Ibasso, like I said, to have it here compared with it. And I'm going to say just this, and I did listen to it, but I'm going to say just this. Um, they trade blows without a doubt. They trade blows. The Cookie TI and Azuri, they trade blows. Ultimately, I would say, because the Cookie TI has the versatility of the nozzles, that will probably be the one that might make more sense for most people. But in terms of you choosing one nozzle and you're sticking with that nozzle and comparing it with the Azuri, I can guarantee you that they trade blows. Okay. The Silva is basically the same situation. It very much trades blows with the wood note and with the other IEMs, yeah. But in terms of a wooden diaphragm, it is probably the most well-tuned one at the moment. I would even go as far as saying that it's slightly better tuned even than the wood note. Again, that's something that can easily be corrected on the wood note, but what I'm saying is, as they stand, this is slightly better tuned. Price is competitive as well, $160. Okay, doesn't have the exchangeable nozzles, fine, this one does. It's a resin shell, it's not a metal shell. But all of that, sound, where it's what it matters, incredible. It's musical. The bass has got this nice tonality to it. The mids are, I mean, incredible sounding IM. Really, really, really solid. I mean, that's not even an if or maybe or no. It's an incredible sounding IM. Now, as I said, I compare them to the the Banon, the Unique. I've compared it to the Plunge Audio, the MK12, ODA, and to Twistura. As you guys know, those other IMs, they are part of my top selection of best single dynamics. And obviously, when I talk on a pure musical approach, when I talk music only, what I can say confidently and without wanting to take anything away from any one of them, the Azuri and the Silva, they trade blows. I mean, the Azuri, for example, let's take here the Azuri. If you want that more cleaner sound, yes, and probably the one that will be the straight first comparison will probably be the Plunge. The Plunge is superior, yes, it is. I'm not going to deny. Now, is the Plunge superior twice the price? Or over twice the price? That is something that only you can justify. What I can say is that I listened to the Azuri carefully. Various music songs. I did a lot of listening. It sounds impressive. Where did I see the biggest differences between the Azuri and the Plunge Audio? It was in slightly higher volume levels, where the Plunge just was a little bit more elegant, a little bit more polished, a little bit more, soundstage wise, imaging as well. The Plunge was slightly ahead. Timbre and tonality, I would say the timbre and tonality of the Azuri was slightly superior to the Plunge. In terms of engagement, very similar. Overall, they kind of are trading blows here and there, But the biggest issue here is this is $135. That's $300 roughly. You have to listen to them. You have to listen to them to see whether or not there's a justification. Now, if from the get-go you know that you're not going to be able to afford the Plunge, or you can't get hold of it, is the Azuri a solid option? Definitely, very much so. Compared to the Unique or to the ODA or to the MK12, I would say the Azuri is a little bit more detailed in certain aspects, but those three, they sound more musical, while this one sounds more technical by comparison. So it's not even one is better than the other, it's more of a side grade. Okay, as compared to the wood note, same sort of sound, and very much trading blows again. Ultimately, a hard one to decide, because they both got a very close price to each other, so difficult one to say. As for the Silva, I mean, I've said it. I mean, Silva, incredible in terms of this wooden diaphragm, incredible compared to the wood note. Maybe here and there even outdoes the wood note, and that's already something else. Is it overall superior to the wood note? Well, in sound-wise, I wouldn't say it's overall superior, but it does have enough arguments to make it a solid alternative compared to something like the MK12. The MK12 is a little bit more thicker sounding, yes. But it does have the alternative options which can counteract with that. Solid. I mean, both are really good. Maybe the financial part of it, the versatility part of it is on the MK12 side, while here maybe once you've chosen the right setup with tips and so on, maybe this might be a little bit more polished and balanced out than the MK12. Compared to the ODA, very much the same situation. I would say that the ODA is slightly more balanced than the Turi, so this would probably be closer to this, or even more times surpassing the Silva's possible sound. Compared to the unique, very much what I just said about the ODA. The ODA and unique, very similar. And compared to the plunge, again, there's a difference here in terms of the overall bass tonalities. So it's not one is better or worse. They are different. They're more side grades than anything else. I think the takeaway message here for both the Silva and the Azuri is not so much that they are better or worse than these other IMs, is that they have now been very much capable of making part or of doing part of that group of IMs that I have as my top single DDs. And I think that in itself already is a testament to how well and how highly I'm praising these two models. Of the two, again, I will repeat that I preferred overall the tonality that the Silva has. But I mean, look, guys, it's very much something that you have to hear and then you decide. One thing's for sure, Silva is a proper tuned IM. Azuri, the same thing goes. Properly tuned IM. It's the different materials that they've used that have given a different nature. More organic, more old school tonality, more CD-like, more cleaner type tonality here. The differences are not monumental, but are easy to pick up on and easy for you to distinguish between them. Alright, guys, that's basically it. I'll just show you another graphs and we'll wrap it up. Okay, guys, let's talk now graphs. Let's clear away some of these first. So that we start here showing graphs. Anyway, the first graph that I'm showing is of the Silva. And as I mentioned earlier, I mean, you can see that it's got, loads of bass, but it's very high quality bass. And the fact that we have this amount of energy as well in terms of the mids and the treble, like I said, we're talking about 13, 14 dBs of gain, and we have a bass gain of roughly 11 dBs. But so because we have this amount of energy here, it just sounds phenomenal. The 100 hertz point that I like always using, as you know, corresponds to roughly there, just below 2 kilohertz. So it's on the dot. But the energy above and the energy below nicely matched. So the overall sound that we get from the Silva is a nice warm sound that has got plenty of detail still, and is a really good example of how a well-tuned wooden diaphragm would be like. Now, comparing it with the Azuri, it's basically the same tuning as you can see, but again, and I've said this countless times, the different materials that they are using just dictates a completely different sound. I mean, you have to listen to both to understand what I'm saying, but you definitely pick up on a different sound format between the one and the other. Now, just a quick throw of the other IMs that I have here, and I'm going to start with the Silva compared to the wood note. The wood note is number 9. There we go. Yes, different style of tuning, but I feel that although is still equally matched and equally balanced on the wood note, the Silva is able of just giving a little bit more detail in terms of the upper mids, without it meaning that it now shouts or anything of the sort. Other than that, I mean, both of them sound incredible, really solid. Comparing, for example, the Silva with something like the MK12, similar style of bass, although yes, 12mm driver. With this particular nozzle, which is the one I like listening to, the difference is a little bit noticeable. You notice that the Tourist is definitely darker sounding, but if I put the gold nozzle, the difference here becomes less. Actually, I can do that. Let me just quickly show you so you guys can see what I mean. Hide these, MK12 with the gold nozzle. I believe it's this one here, exactly. Let me take out the other one. So with the gold nozzle, you straight away have a little bit more energy okay, in this area of the upper mids and treble, and so the similarity between the sound is more. There's definitely more similarity. What else here? Oh yes, the plunge, the singularity. Okay, graphically very similar, but be it the Silva or be it the Azuri, as you can see. Actually, I've just placed the Azuri, and I'm going to put it in black so that there's a bit more of a difference. But when you listen to them, when you are listening to both the Azuri and the plunge, it's not difficult to distinguish between the two of them. Do they play well? Exceptionally well, either one of them. Ultimately, the plunge is just a little bit more polished. I apologize here for the speak at 8 kilohertz not being correct. It's a little bit before, but it was just a tip related thing. Very, very similar. Let's see what else here. Oh yeah, the ODA. ODA, again, similar style of tuning as you can see to the Azuri, similar style of tuning again to the Silva, very, very similar, and they sound very similar, just a little bit more warmth, a little bit, ever so slight in terms of the ODA just being a little bit warmer. And I believe I've showed everyone, but no, oh yeah, the Panon Unique, basically the same thing as the ODA. And that's it, guys. I hope I was able to bring enough information about the Silva and the Azuri, introduce these two IEMs for you guys. Hope it will be enough for those of you that are capable of maybe auditioning it, giving them a try. If not, I think the comparisons that I've given are enough for you to be able to make a purchase if you decide to go down that road. One thing is definitely for sure. Be it the Aria ear Silva or be it the Aria ear Azuri, they've done their homework, they've taken time in releasing these IMs, and they are solid performers. There's very, very little that I honestly think you can fault in them if this is the type of sound that you like. If you are looking for the ultimate in terms of neutrality, or if you're looking for a more harmon tune style, then this is not for you, definitely. But if you like these alternative tuning methods that sound good, that play well, without a doubt, this is very much the case. I mean, if you like I said, if you like the Panon, the Unique, if you like the ODA one, the Helios, if you like the MK12, if you like the plunge, if you are people that have these IMs and like these IMs, you will definitely also like the Azuri and the Silva. All right, as always, like and subscribe. Take care now. Catch you later.